Welcome to the In Shape Fitness Show. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are doing a 20-minute podcast and short equipment-free workout that I call 2 strong legs for 1 strong body. Whether you realize it or not, one of your legs does more work than the other, especially when you jog, bike, or walk or hike. By building leg strength on each of your legs independently, you can ensure that your weaker leg does its fair share. So most people are right-handed. That means that for most people, this is an exercise in left leg strength. I actually work with clients all the time, and I call it the lame left leg syndrome, where right-handed people, and I try to get everybody out in Central Park running as much as possible. All the right-handed people I work with, and pretty much everyone is right-handed. The left leg is noticeably different in terms of the strength, and you can feel it. We're going to do just a couple of exercises that will help engage that sensitive, sort of the nuance of some exercise regimens that involve the fact that your right leg is so much more dominant than your left leg. But let's get started with the postural systems check. It's the way we always begin our workouts here at In Shape Fitness, and it is simply a way for you to get all of the noise out of your head. Think about your body parts, activate your breathing with exercise regimens. You want to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. So you're inhaling all of that oxygen through the air and lots of other smells. So I actually say to people, smell the air, because you want to think about all of the air coming in through your nose, and then bellow out the carbon dioxide through your mouth, because you really want to get that out of your body. Now, think about the placement of your head on top of your neck and shoulders. So your head should be back, your ears and your shoulders should line up vertically. The condition where you kind of crane your neck forward because you're looking at a screen or driving a car and focusing on your hands on the steering wheel, whatever it is, there are a lot of deviations from a postural perspective that move the head forward, and that's actually not really good in fact, it's really bad for your back, for the upper part of your back, and it further closes the chest a little bit. So you want to keep your shoulders back, and that helps just sort of as a visual cue for you to think about the ears and the shoulders lining up. Then as you travel down the body, think about your tummy muscles. Pull in your belly button towards, and it's kind of up towards your spine, in order to make sure that your abs are all engaged, and then tuck in your tailbone to make sure that your pelvis isn't tilted, which is a condition that is a result of sitting all the time. And then think about your legs. So now you're thinking about these 2 legs. They're, the twin pillars of strength, but also can be a little bit of a twin sort of annoyance in terms of one leg being stronger than the other. And the exercise that I will give you first that helps you just make some peace with the fact that one of your legs is stronger than the other is something called the lighthouse. And I do this exercise all the time. In fact, I do it with almost all of our exercise regimens because it is so incredibly simple to describe, but it's actually really challenging to do. So you position your feet heel to toe. And if you're right-handed, position your left foot in front of the right leg. Now your body weight is going to gently and kind of naturally migrate to being sort of dominated by the leg in the rear, which is why the right leg is in the rear to start. Now your arms extend out to the sides, and your head slowly turns all the way to the right until you're gazing down the length of your right arm, hopefully. And then slowly turn your head all the way to the left. Now what's happening is that your inner ear equilibrium, your vestibular system, is being discombobulated. So your small muscles, the muscles in your feet and up the lower part of your leg, are having to isometrically contract to help your body maintain its place in space. Proprioception and that stability component is difficult to maintain when you're really off balance. Now switch your feet so that the left foot is in the rear, and repeat the same head movement motion. So you turn your head slowly to the right just a couple of times, moving slowly and thinking about the significance of the heat you probably feel increasing towards your lower legs and into your feet. I never wear shoes in my apartment in New York City, so you may be barefoot, which I would hope you are, because that's how you get to make a connection with your floor. And that's really positive part of fitness, wellness on a daily basis that you can do. As you know, our company is about teaching methods that can be sustainable for you without a trainer or without a gym. And the only way that you do that is by getting to know your body really well, being comfortable with the various movements, even with the restriction of movements maybe that you have, but to make adjustments as necessary to push you to your own threshold and then start seeing some of those results that you want to see so badly. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. Let's start with a couple of cat camels so that we limber up the back before I have you lie on the floor with your body facing up. So a couple of cat camels is pretty simple. It's not a leg movement exercise. We're going to get to those in just a couple of minutes. But what you want to do with the cat and the camel is to position your body so that your hands and your shoulders line up, your knees and your hips line up. This is called quadruped. And then you drop your head like a bowling ball, round up your spine, and take a deep breath. And then very slowly, you invert that position of your trunk where you contract your lower back and lift your head and your chest. And then repeat that a couple of times. Next 15 seconds or so, you just want to move slowly. Deep breathing is key here. And then rest. You've got 5 more seconds. All right. One last juice up of your tummy muscles. And then I'm going to flip you over and we're going to do a series with your hips individually. So your plank is next. Every workout includes a plank, and every day should include a plank. That's just the way it is. So get over it, make your peace with it, drop to your elbows, and even if it's a plank that ends up having you on your knees because you can't hold the plank on your toes for longer than 15 seconds or even 10 seconds, 30 seconds is going, your time starts now, and you are positioned with your shoulders directly in line with your elbows. Your butt is flat. That means that your hip flexors are fully elongated. It's a really important component, actually, of your individual leg strength. It has to do with the ability of your hip flexors to connect your trunk over and through via the pelvis to your thighs. And of course, then, you as I said before, the dominant leg on every single person is a really considerable factor in terms of the success that you have with lots of endeavors, including running and biking or whatever. Rest in child's pose for a couple of breaths. 3 deep breaths. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, bellow out through your mouth. So smell the air around you. Use the nose. And that, by the way, I haven't mentioned it yet today, but if you listen to the podcast often, again, I'm like a broken record, you will hear me talk about how inhaling through the nose, the receptors in your nasal cavity activate the part of your brain that keep stress hormones at bay and keep your heart rate elevated, meaning not elevated too much, right? So keep it manageable, where your brain is more in control of your heart rate. When you take in air through your mouth, you mouth breathe. That is part of the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. It's a primitive part of your brain, and it automatically jacks up your heart rate and starts pumping stress hormones into your muscles for that rapid response, a la fight or flight, right? So breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth, really important. Okay, now turn your body over so you're on your back, and then bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, put your hands on the floor beside your body, palms down, or palms up. It doesn't really matter all that much, but brace yourself because you're going to start moving. So hip bridge is the next position that we're going to begin with. And what happens in hip bridge is pretty tried and true. In fact, I do hip bridges on both of my legs to basically stimulate my lower part of the core every single day. So you can do a couple of double-legged hip bridges, lifting up and lowering down. There are a couple of things to remember about your placement, the placement of your body parts, meaning when your knees are bent and your feet are on the floor, you want your toes and heels to line up. You don't want your feet to turn out. So you want your feet to be straight. You want your ankles and your knees to line up vertically. And this is really important, you want to make sure your toes are down. If your toes float, lift up into the air, and all you're using is your heels, you're going to deviate from the muscle groups that are supposed to be working, which are the hips, of course, but also the secondary muscles, the hamstrings and your butt muscles. That effort transfers to your quads and your lower back when your toes are in the air. So when you grip the floor with the toes, you'll feel the back of the leg engage, and that's good. All right? Now, the single leg effort, and this is really, really great for all the right-handed people out there, also the left-handed people. I'm a left-handed person, and we pride ourselves on being more balanced. And that is true because left-handed people tend to learn a lot of right-handed things, and therefore we don't have as much dominance on the left leg as right-handed people have with their right leg. So lift the left leg up in the air. Just hold it up in the air and stabilize in hip bridge position for 15 seconds. I'll start the clock now. Go ahead and get started. You're just stabilizing with the right leg. You've got 10 more seconds. I have clients in New York that get Charlie horses when they stabilize on one leg. Go ahead and rest if you need to. If you are fine with your right leg, stabilizing your body weight with your left leg up in the air, just sort of hanging out there, that's great. Now what you want to do is a toe tap. It's called a Swiss hip extension. And so you tap the left foot toes down on the floor and then lift the leg back up. Slowly. Another 15 seconds should be sufficient. And then we're going to switch legs because you're going to notice that it will be very different, a different feeling when your left leg is doing the stability work. 5 more seconds. Tapping the left foot down, lifting up, tapping again. Last one. Now put your butt down for a second and straighten your legs out. Shake them out a little bit if you need to. And then go ahead and bend your knees again and lift back up into the hip bridge again. And then lift up the right leg. Again, remember to keep the toes on the left foot down and feel the difference between how the right leg was able to stabilize your entire body in this position versus how the left leg manages the same job. Feels different, doesn't it? Yeah. It's amazing to have one body and have the two sides feel so different. So 15 seconds has been almost completely eliminated now. 3 seconds more, 2, 1. Great. If you need to rest, that's fine. If you got a Charlie horse in your left hamstring, rub it out a little bit and then go back to the hip bridge. So now we're going to do the Swiss hip extension with the left leg stable, the right foot moving. So the right leg is in the air, and then you gently tap your right toes down onto the floor and lift back up. And repeat that for another 10 seconds. Excellent. You're doing great. Okay, rest. Rest. We're going to do 2 more exercises that involve hip bridge. So that's 4 total exercises that involve hip bridge that relate to the strength of your legs individually. So the third one is something that we call a bridge reach. So lift up, you actually get to keep both feet on the ground. So you're in the hip bridge, your knees are bent again, your feet are straight, your toes are down, you're up in your hip bridge, and your arm position is going to change. Now I want your arms to be out to the sides with your palms facing up. And what you do is leave the left hand where it is on the floor. The right hand is going to lift up off the floor, make a giant half circle as it lifts up and around and over your body, across your body. Your right shoulder comes with it now, and your torso rotates a little bit, and you're going to touch the left hand over on the left side of your body, and then return to your starting position. And repeat that for another 20 seconds. Your time starts now. So you should be able to do somewhere between 7 and 9, maybe 10 of these, but you don't want to move quickly. So you want to savor this a little bit. And it shouldn't be that difficult unless you're really weak. But with the right leg, again, since you're stabilizing on the outside of the body, you got that sort of core stability on the right side that has to be maintained in order for the right side to make that movement happen in a diagonal dimension across and over to the left side from the right side stability of the right leg, the right quad, hamstring, and right foot. When you finish, now go ahead and change sides. Go right to the other side. It's going to be much more challenging with the stability requirement for the left hamstring than the left hip flexor. So 15 more seconds with the left leg. Again, the left hand reaches across, up and over and across the body. Make sure that the left shoulder comes with and that you twist just a little bit. Rotational movement in all the workouts is another variable that we try to include in each of our sessions. I also want to get your heart rate up. So we're going to stand up after we do one more plank and finish on your feet. So these hip bridge exercises were really, really helpful. We're going to do one more real fast, and it's a simple one. It's going back to lifting up the left leg, and then we're going to do 10, count them, 10 dips, hip bridge dips down and up with just the right leg, and then switch to the left leg. So the left leg is in the air, the right foot is on the floor. Once again, make sure that your right toes stay down, and these are just single leg hip bridge dips. Pretty standard. So that's 4 total exercises if you don't count the start of the endeavor where we were doing a couple of practice hip bridge dips with both feet on the floor. We did the single leg hold in the air, the Swiss hip extension, the bridge reach, and now the single leg dips. All really excellent exercises that can be done. Again, these can be done every day. We're stimulating the body. We are building strength slowly over time. And if you do this in conjunction with the other part of your health routine, the exercise regimens that you carry on throughout your week, this should be a sufficient way to build on and maintain a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. Now stand up. Let's finish on your feet. We've got a couple more minutes to go. I want to do a couple of lunges, but before that, let's do a little bit of heart rate elevation. So high knee jogging is the first thing that we're going to do. So you're going to start jogging in place, but lift up those knees. Make sure that, and put your hands beside your hips with your palms facing down so that you can make sure that the knee makes contact with the palm as you lift up your hips, lift up your knees, right? So that ensures that both the left knee and the right knee get that lift that is needed. So 5 more seconds here, and then we're going to do some butt kicks. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now switch the momentum and kick those heels back toward your butt. Activate those hamstrings and make sure that your hip flexors are really straight. So another thing about a lot of the standing work that people do in exercise observations, the ones that I make, and I make them a lot, I see a lot of hunched over people, even people that purport to marathon, all their marathon training, that do lots and lots of athletic work. They tend to collapse at the shoulders and they bend over at the hips. You want to keep those hip flexors really, really strong and tight. That means that you elongate through them and you make sure that your back stays straight and your tummy muscles stay pulled in. Okay, now some forward lunging. And as you forward lunge, I want you to do a lift up of your arms over your head, just to sort of fully elongate the body again. So you take a big step forward with your right leg, bend both knees, lowering the body straight down, and then lift those arms up over your head, and then step back and alternate. Then the left knee, left leg forward, bend both knees. Make sure that whichever leg goes forward, when you bend the knee and lower the body straight down, you want to keep your back straight. You also want to make sure that the knee does not go past the tips of your toes. Last thing, and then I'm going to let you go, is a lateral movement in order to make sure that we activate the inner thigh muscles. So with a lateral lunge, You take a big step out to the side. Both feet still stay straight. You do not turn your toes out when you take a side step, because that utilizes the quad muscle, the front of the leg, the thigh. You want to use the side of the leg and your butt. So keep the feet straight as you take a big step out with your right leg and you bend the right knee almost into a squat. Stick your butt out a little bit. You can lift the left arm over your head even if you want to do a little bit of a side stretch, and then continue on with the alternating side with the left leg extending out to the left and bending the left knee. Again, you bend the one knee in the lateral lunge. That means that the straight leg feels that work through the inner part of your thigh. And that's a good thing too. Those are small muscles, very neglected. The hip flexors are definitely the most neglected muscles that we have in our body, but those inner thigh muscles, they're close behind. We don't do enough lateral regular movement in life, and that is a significant part of the problem. I forgot to have you do another plank, didn't I? Okay, let's drop down to the floor. Let's keep it going for one more minute as I just read to you a little bit about the pivoting part about the Tarahumara, which are the Mexican Indians that were written about in Born to Run, one of my favorite books. Why does it seem like some people, and I mention the Tarahumara because it definitely seems as though it's effortless. It seems like it's a lost art, long distance running without injury, moving forward without pain. And this is the fascination with this tribe, which worked its way into our modern culture via this book, Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. The Tarahumara are farmers and they're weavers. They are beer makers. They are sometimes merchants, and they spend very, very little of their regular time sitting down. Running in their tribe has been known. They've been known to win some of the longest and most grueling foot races on the continent, but they don't train like we do. That's the mystery and sort of the beauty of the Tarahumara. American marathoners take on a part-time job when they sign up for a marathon. And you guys probably know I'm a marathon coach for the New York City Marathon. I've been doing this work with the New York City Roadrunners Club for 9 years. American marathoners schedule our long runs, our tempo runs. We have sprints, we have recovery runs, we have nutrition clinics, we have injury prevention clinics, we have strength workouts, yoga sessions, massage therapy, physical therapy. They build all of these different components of the training regimen into their busy lives already. And the Tarahumara are just as likely to show up at the end of their week, maybe for the start line, at the start line for some race. They're as likely to show up there hungover from, just sort of living their lives and having fun than they will with a gold star for making it to each of their scheduled training runs, because they just don't have them. Some people think there's a genetic basis for this. I don't happen to believe that. I do think, however, that the recreational running and cycling even in our sedentary lives has a lot to do with the dormancy of some of the smaller muscles in our body. And that is one of the reasons why the right leg does so much more work on right-handed people than the left leg does, why this lame left leg syndrome develops. So pivoting is the category of exercises that I write about in this book that I'm calling Darwin on the Treadmill. And I pull in references to the Tarahumara, to barefoot running, to exercises related to balance that demonstrate how significant this difference in strength between the left leg and the right leg is in terms of the sustainability of our health programming. So that's our workout for the day. We went over, as usual, to about 24 minutes. I'm Coach Kim from InShape Fitness in New York City, and I will be back again next week with another new episode of the InShape Fitness Show. Have a great day.